Good night, everyone. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I am here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. So go ahead and put your questions in the comments so that I may answer your questions. So if you have a question, so if you're going through the immigration process, you're thinking about going through the process, even if you've already been through the process, then you have that question and you should definitely drop it in the comments now. Take advantage of me, a U.S. immigration attorney, being here to answer your questions. I usually come with a topic to talk about, and tonight I'm going to be talking about everything work permits. So often I get the question, how can I apply for a work permit? So I'm going to tell you about situations where you can apply for a work permit in the United States. However, keep in mind that I'm here to answer your questions. So even while I'm talking about this topic, you can still go ahead and put your own questions in the comments. It does not have to be related to the topic that I'm talking about tonight. So, work permits. The first thing I want to stress is that work permits are different from employment-based visas. So individuals will often ask me the question, how can I'm coming to the United States on a visitor's visa, how can I get a work permit? Or they're here, they're out of status, they just want to apply for the work permit. And unfortunately, it doesn't work like this. Usually the work permit is when you're in the United States and you are applying for a particular immigration benefit or form of relief that will allow you to get a work permit while you wait for the benefit to be approved, or you get the work permit after the benefit is approved. And so the difference is you have to be here, and it's just like a temporary work permit, like a year. Right now it's a 2-year work permit if you qualify and if you're applying for a particular immigration benefit that allows for it. Now, if you're outside of the United States, first of all, if you're coming on a visa, a visitor's visa, you are not supposed to be working. So you cannot just submit a work permit to be able to work while you're visiting here, because you're not supposed to even be working in the first place. Many individuals do get their visas revoked because the officer does find out if you're going to renew, or the officer at the border, they finds out that you were working, because there are records. Employers sometimes do report. There are tax records that may be available. There are public records that they can find, that they find that you've been working. If you're working in the U.S. without an employment-based visa, or you are working under the table on a visitor's visa, then you definitely risk losing your visa, and it's not permitted. So let's talk about those situations where you can apply for a work permit if you're in the United States. And some of those situations even involve individuals who are here without status. So if your notice is incorrect on your notice to appear, is that considered fraud? So if you are the one that provided the false information, that could potentially be fraud for you. So it's you now, when it comes on to the notice to appear and deportation, it's a little more complex. I would have to review all your facts to advise you. However, if you're the one that gave a false name, it could potentially come back on you as fraud or misrepresentation. My girlfriend came through the Mexican border from Jamaica. How can fix her status? Okay, so if she came across the border and she came in without permission, then the first is she's going to have to qualify for some sort of status. And it really depends on our circumstances. So it depends on the facts here. So she should definitely schedule a consultation to talk about the options. But the most common way for individuals who snuck across the border is that they must qualify. So if you're looking at permanent residents, then you must qualify through a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse or parent. So for example, if you user 400, you're a U.S. citizen and you guys are ready to take that leap, you could get married. But there's a big difference here. Your girlfriend will not be able to stay in the United States and apply for permanent residence. So usually you would have to come into the country with a visa, even if that visa expired, and you had to be married to a U.S. citizen or be the parent of a U.S. citizen 21 and up, or be the son or daughter of a U.S. citizen under 21. However, in this case, because your girlfriend came into the country without permission, snuck across the border, she's going to be looking at a different process if you get married, or if she has a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident parent. She's going to have to apply for what's called a waiver. So the waiver is if you have a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse or parent who will experience extreme hardship if you don't get the green card, then you could be approved for this waiver. And what this waiver does is it would allow your girlfriend, turned spouse at the time, of course, to fly back to Jamaica to attend the final interview when it is scheduled. So your girlfriend could stay in the United States, apply for this specific waiver as long as she qualifies in every other way. She must to qualify for this waiver, in addition to needing to have the relatives, she would also have to make sure she doesn't have any other immigration violations on her record, because if she gets forgiven for the unlawful entry and unlawful presence, she will not be forgiven for the other issues. So when she leaves the country, that could cause a problem. So at the point that she's approved for the waiver, she can fly to the embassy in Jamaica to attend the interview. Now, this is the case even though you're a U.S. citizen. So I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you, but user 400, there could be options for your girlfriend. So that is where she definitely needs to schedule a consultation and talk about her particular facts. Now, there are other situations where she crossed the border, she was victimized, if individuals victimized her while she was coming into the U.S., then that could possibly be a path to a U visa or a T visa, which would give her status for 4 years and a work permit, and then eventually help her. She would be able to adjust status, but it depends on the facts, and that's where it's very important to get a consultation. So OMG, finally I've missed you, wasn't even seeing your post. So Bossy Cookie, oh, you weren't seeing my post. So this is for anybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm glad you caught me. I'm here, Bossy Cookie. I'm here every night at 9 p.m. on TikTok. So if you do want to catch me, you're going to have to catch me on live at 9 p.m. And the reason I'm not posting very often is because TikTok is taking down my posts. And so that's why you're not seeing it, because they apparently they don't like when I tell the immigrant population ways to empower themselves. But I am sharing this information on Instagram. So you can always follow me on Instagram if you would like to get more posts, get more updates, get more information. You can always go over to Instagram. And my Instagram handle is the immigration attorney, just like here. I also do a live on Instagram at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, but I'm always here on TikTok at 9 p.m. Eastern to answer your questions. Let's see. So Raise Devon, thanks for sharing the live. Is it illegal to open a bank account and deposit money into account by doing it legally in the U.S.? So no, Erwin John Hackshaw, if you're talking about immigration and you're without status, it's not illegal generally to open your own bank account as long as you do it without committing any kind of illegal activities. So my mana live in the USA. She is filing for me and my family, and they spell my name wrong. So Shakur 821, just get it corrected. So you can contact them and get that corrected. So wherever it is it at the National Visa Center or is it at the USCIS? You can definitely get in touch with them and make that correction. I'm in the process of applying for the U visa. Will attempt employment, I think that's an employment authorization for me and spouse be granted or after? So great question, Bree Sisney. I'm glad you asked. So the U visa is now, it was just recently announced that because the U visa is taking so long, that they will now be providing employment work permits during the U visa application instead of years later into the process. So as long as you submit a proper application, as long as you do the biometrics and the background check, then the next step would be you would get work authorization. So you could be looking at 6 to 8 months instead of 2 years before you get on the deferred action list and you get that work permit. Ali Locke, thanks for sharing the live. Who qualifies for the DACA? So right now, DACA is not being processed. It's on hold due to an injunction. That can always change. But right now, it's going to be individuals who came into the country before their 16th birthday. They can show continuous presence since, I believe, 2007. As well as other, so that's where a lot of individuals don't qualify, is that you do still have to show that you've been here in the US since 2007, and there are a lot of individuals who came afterwards that can't show that. How many years do I have to be married to get a visa in the US? My husband is an American. So there is no requirement for the number of years that you have to be married. If you're talking about a visitor's visa, what you do have to show is that you have strong ties to your home country. That shows that you plan to visit the US or your husband temporarily. If you're talking about an immigrant visa to come to the US and become a permanent resident, there is no set amount of time that you have to be married to start applying. So Digial Mosi, give me a call, schedule a consult, and let's talk about it. Can I file for my stepfather without having his last name? That could be a possibility, absolutely, as long as you meet the definition. So your stepfather meets the definition of stepfather under immigration law. That means that your stepfather married your biological parent before you were 18 years old. Thanks for the share. I appreciate that. My girlfriend is just about to get her green card, but she has been in the US for almost 5 years now. How long after we get married can she file for me? So she can file for you right away. As a green card holder, she can file for you right away. And Javi, right now is a good time for permanent residents to apply for their spouse because there's no wait list for the immigrant visa number, but that could change at any time just because the more applications that come in, that wait list is going to build and get longer again. So now is the time. So if she's applying for citizenship, so first of all, she can apply as a green card holder or a resident. However, another thing, I don't know where you are. If you're in the US, she can also apply for US citizenship and apply for you then as well. How long after we get married? Okay, so I overstayed my time due to COVID and my country closing their borders, and my dad wants to file for me. Will I have problems since I have overstayed for a year now? So Ali, that's really going to depend on your age. So if you're under 21 and you're unmarried, then you fall within a special category called the immediate relative of a US citizen. And that means that you could potentially qualify to adjust status in the US, apply for your green card, apply for a work permit, and wait for the process to be completed here in the United States. However, if you're over 21, then that is where you are going to have to look at a different process. It's going to be the waiver process where you have to apply for for forgiveness for the overstay. Because remember, at the point that you overstay over a year, if you leave the country, that is going to lead to a 10-year bar. That means no re-entry, no visa, no green card for at least 10 years. And so you would have to go the waiver route if you're over 21. And in order to qualify for the waiver, you have to have a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse or parent. Obviously, you have the parent, but you have to also show that your dad will experience extreme hardship if you don't get the permanent residence. So it's quite a more complex process. Some individuals don't have that choice but to apply for this first. And so you should definitely schedule a consultation. Can't stress that enough, Alilof, because the only way you're going to know whether you qualify for a benefit is to do a detailed consultation to evaluate your facts. How long after you're married can you file for a green card? There is no, generally, there is no limit on how long you have to be married to file for the green card. However, I don't know your facts, and that the answer, my specific legal advice is really going to depend on your facts. When did your spouse, is your spouse outside of the country? Are they in the U.S.? Did they overstay their visa? Are they visiting? When did they come into the country? So it's going to be based on questions like that. And that's where it's very important to schedule a consultation to get legal advice. My daughter has sworn in citizenship next month. How long before she can sponsor me? So she can sponsor you right away as long as you qualify for adjustment of status. Or now, if you want to stay in the U.S., apply for your work permit, then you have to make sure you qualify for adjustment of status. If you are outside of the U.S., then she just has to, she can send those papers in right away. I just applied to renew DACA. Should I also apply for an under the U visa or keep applying EAC under DACA? So Bree, Sisney, I can't advise you on whether you should be applying for two different benefits or forms of relief unless I know what your particular circumstances are. I know individuals who are renewing DACA, they are not putting a hold on that. And so you could possibly still qualify for DACA. However, you do have this additional benefit of applying for the U visa. You will need to schedule a consultation because I can't advise you on a public forum about how to approach it without knowing your situation. I filed in 2019 and I still haven't heard anything back. So I didn't see the rest of your question. So what you can do, Queen Boss Liz, is get in touch, check your status, call them, and also you can determine whether you're outside of the processing times. So Javi, can you go ahead and repeat your question? I'm sorry, I'm going so fast that I don't remember what your question is. I'm 19, stepfather, not married, my mom. So I'm 19, stepfather, not married, my mom, but he has taken care of me since I was 5, still qualified to file. So Shorty, Salvi, this is exactly why a consultation is required, because the information here I'm giving you is general. And so while it is possible to apply for your stepfather, in this case under immigration law, that your stepfather would not qualify as a stepfather. If your stepfather never married your mom but took care of you, unfortunately that doesn't qualify. If you're 19, you have to be 21 and up to be able to apply for a parent if he qualifies as a stepfather under immigration law. What happened if you got married and then you were separated and had children outside of the relationship? So in a case like that, it just depends on the facts. And I'm not sure, it could cause questions as to whether your marriage is bona fide. It's definitely going to take some explaining if you're looking at a marriage-based process. If you're looking at citizenship, then the question is going to be, did that relationship while you were separated cause the marriage to disintegrate or break up? In a case like that, then it could cause problems during citizenship. But it all depends, and that's where the consultation is going to be required. Okay, so my girlfriend is about to get her green card, but she has been in the US for almost 5 years. So once you get married, your green card holder girlfriend will qualify to apply for you. However, how the process is going to look is depends on whether you're here in the US or if you are outside of the United States. Bossy Cookie, you're welcome, and thanks so much for the compliment. Can you receive a visiting visa by sending your passport to the embassy? Sometimes they do allow that. However, it's going to depend. Sometimes you send it in to get a renewal. Now, if you're applying for the first time, you're going to have to go in for the interview. But sometimes for renewals in some countries, they do allow you to send it in. But if they feel like they need to evaluate your situation more, they'll definitely ask you to come in. Bree Sisney, thank you so much, and you're welcome. Can you marry in the US while visiting on a B1, B2? Yes, there is no limit on getting married in the US. However, it's what you do with it and whether you qualify. If you want to get married and then file for your papers, you're going to want to definitely get legal advice to determine whether it's a good idea for you to stay in the US and file or whether you have to go back. And so that's where the consultation is very important. So Ja V, I'm in Jamaica. I'm glad you said that, because if you get married to your green card holder girlfriend, and this is a good time for her to apply for you, because there is no wait list for the immigrant visa number. And what that means is that the process, once the petition is approved, which is taking about a little over a year, it goes straight on to, they start to prep it for the interview. While it can take another year to get the interview, trust me, that is still faster than other processes that are taking 6 to 7 years. So Momo, Jonathan, I'm in Boca Raton, Florida, but I always like to state that I am not limited by borders or state lines. I represent clients in all 50 states and all across the world. And so I can definitely help you with your U.S. immigration process if you want. So still standing. So I did answer your question, still standing. You must have missed it. So in some cases, they do allow the passport to receive the passport, to renew the visa, not necessarily to apply for the first time. However, if they feel like they need to investigate more, they'll definitely call you in for an interview. What's a B2? I was in Texas last week and realized I got the stamp that reads B2. It just means the visitor's visa. Can you renew the visitor's visa in Jamaica from here in the US? So no, I'm not aware that you can. I know that you can extend it, but not necessarily. And Bossy Cookie, what you can do is you can check the embassy, so Jamaican embassy, and look at the ways that they're accepting the passports. If you do it by mail, if you're renewing and you do it by mail, then theoretically you could possibly no. One thing I want to let you know though is that remember that they can look at your travel history. And so if you are in the US and you're trying to renew, they could think that you're trying to stay in the United States and then renew your visa at the same time. And so you don't want to be doing that, because they can tell that that you are still in the US based on that I-94, which is your travel history. Remember, they log everybody's travel history. And so you definitely don't want to be sending a visa application in if they're permitting that. For Jamaica, I'm not sure what their procedures are, whether they allow. Some countries do allow renewal by mail, some don't. And in your case, whether you do it by mail or if you do it by mail, they're definitely going to know that you're trying a thing, that you're trying to renew it while you're in the US. So you don't want to do that. Javi, you're welcome. 49 Drake, you're welcome. How true is it that Florida state moves faster with the spousal visa? So it's not necessarily true. I mean, it's really based on, it's not based on the state, it's based on the service center. So if you are assigned to a particular service center, remember that service centers are not, so if you apply in Florida, it doesn't mean that you're going to be processed in Florida. There are service centers scattered across the United States that are assigned your cases. So no matter where you are in the country, they're going to process your petition. And so it's really dependent. Their processing time is going to depend on that service center. So if you have your receipt notice, if you look at the first 3 letters on your receipt notice, that's going to tell you where your case is. And you can look it up and see what their processing time is. You can go to uscis.gov, click on, scroll down on the homepage, you'll see case processing times. You can look at that, look for the service center, and then look for the form that they're processing, and you'll be able to get an idea of the length of time. So is it true that if your sponsor filed through the military, it's faster? It could be possible. It just depends on what the circumstances are that's involved. But I could definitely see where that could be faster in certain cases. So thanks everyone. Kervin, Pratt, thanks for the follow. I appreciate all your questions. I'm going to head over to Instagram now because I do have a live scheduled at 9:30 Eastern time every night. So this conversation does not have to end here. We can continue this conversation on Instagram. All you have to do is go to the link in my bio, click on Instagram, and it will take you over to the my Instagram page where you can follow me, and then hop on the live where we can continue this conversation. Bossy Cookie, you're welcome, and thanks for the compliment. Javi, I'm glad that you got it. I'm going to be here tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So if you can't join me on Instagram, then thanks so much, Miss Leslie, for you. I appreciate that, the roses. If you can't join me on Instagram, that's okay. You'll see me tomorrow at 9 p.m. Now, if you've already listened to me and you know for sure that you're going to, thanks so much for the 10 roses. I appreciate that. If you know for sure that you need to schedule a consultation, you can do that by going to the link in my bio. It'll take you to the website where you'll see the phone number, you'll see online chat, and you will see a contact form. Those are the 3 ways that you can get in touch. Miss Leslie, I'm looking forward to it. These are the 3 ways that you can get in touch with the firm and schedule with the scheduling coordinator, who is available up until 11 p.m. tonight. Scheduling coordinators are available 9:30 a.m. To 11 p.m. So plenty of time, even on weekends, noon to 5 p.m. So plenty of time for you to call and schedule your consultation. As always, it's been a pleasure. Have a good night, and I'll see you on Instagram. If not, Bossy Cookie, I'm glad that you'll be there. Thanks so much. If you don't see me on Instagram tonight, join me tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone.